The Fifth Circuit of Appeals turns around and tells Biden where he can stick his needle for his vaccine mandate. Well, they were a little bit more legalistic than that, but you get the picture, so we'll talk just a bit about that. I believe, yes, that is the top of the show. In other news, the bipartisan infrastructure deal has passed, so we'll talk a bit about what this means going forward and where I expect things to go coming back up out of this. Big Bird. Big Bird gets his vaccine. I have nothing else to say about that. Just Big Bird got his vaccine. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. And Astroworld has turned into a giant clusterfuck, and a lot of people over our friends to the left are more pissed off about the fact that nobody else is talking about it. So I spent some time last night trying to figure out what was going on with this. I still don't have a complete idea, but we'll talk just a bit about that as well. It is going to be all this and more over on Contemporary. Let's go, Brandon, which NASCAR now hates. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got, as usual on a Monday, a gigantic clusterfuck of things to go over here, and a host who forgot to turn his multi-streaming client on numerous occasions here. So the live chat is up. Now you guys can come back out to talk with each other once again. Yeah, that was my bad here. I have to have the Restream program open in order for everything to crosstalk with it, but everything should be good, up, and all set now. So guys, talk amongst yourselves on every platform once again. And we have got to get right into it because we've got a ton of stuff to get to. And of course, I always do want to try to make sure that I'm not stepping completely over the Daily Ignoramus, because hey, I want you guys viewing that show just as much as you guys watch this show as well. So let's get into it, let's get started, and let's talk about the news. But before we do that, guys, make sure you guys go over and check out turnsofpagesproductions.com. Make sure you guys get the GoFundMe link out there. We might not make the 14-day deadline right now, but still, you guys go out there and get some stuff out there. Let's go make sure that everybody is over there checking out the website. Something cool is apparently coming very soon. And we will carry such great shows such as the Daily Ignoramus, the Breakdown with Breckenhoff, the R-Rated Conservative, the Freckles and Brick Show, and the Porch Boys. Go check all those shows out. It's going to be a great time, definitely. I really enjoy spending time with all the guys over on those channels. And do, by the way, come back and check out one of our biggest Turns of Pages Productions fans, Quest Fanning. We'll be on the Red and Ed Show coming up here later on tonight, so definitely come back and check that out as well. That's going to be a great time. I love having conversations with Quest Fanning. He is a wealth of knowledge of a lot of things, and he is a bit more moderated and policy-minded than some of the guests that I have and some of the regulars here. As far as the RedNet show goes, we are going to continue. I will be extending out the deadline of the RedNet show, so definitely, because I just got some news over the weekend here that I cannot share right now, but I got some news over the weekend here, so definitely we'll be checking that out, and there will be no weekly roundup show on the Monday after Christmas, by the way, either. Keep that in mind. I thought about it, and because I do have a previous commitment for that day, on the 27th, there will not be a RedNet show. There will be a Contemporary, but there will not be a RedNet show. So everybody keep that in mind and plan your schedules accordingly as we go into this here. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the Contemporary that morning or if somebody else is, but do keep that in mind. All right, and if you guys do want to help out, we have the GoFundMe out here. I just shared that out with Chilaga over there on Twitter because he messaged me about it a few days ago, and I finally got back to him because I'm a horrible host. But yeah, if you guys, even if you can't donate, spread this link far and wide on every social platform that you have. Let everybody know that this is what we are doing. We're trying to raise the money so we can have a new site by the people for the people. Let everybody know that. And I would have contributed more at this point myself, but man, our brakes were a half ton expensive these days. Yeah, I just had to go buy brakes for my truck because it hit metal to metal on the way to Kenosha the other day. So that'll be coming up here too. But guys, do make sure that if you want to see something out here, and if you do decide not to be anonymous, which we've got a few anonymous people out here, but if you decide you don't want to be anonymous on this, you can put your name out there, put a donation up, and on the start page, we will give you a special thank you for coming out and helping us out and believing in our dreams. So definitely come back and do that. All right, let's go in, let's get into the news, and let's get started here. Starting with the Dow. The Dow wound up being up throughout all of Friday, which I'm not actually all that surprised about, and it looks like the futures are also going to be shooting up off here because people believe that there's going to be plenty of money flowing out here as we get into the infrastructure package. That's been one of the big pieces of news of the week. I believe that is what we have on deck to start with. Yes, it is. So we'll talk about the vaccine mandate, then we will go right into the finance stuff. So we'll talk about that. And I know I looked at IBD and they look like they're also saying that the futures rise has to do with the fact that the infrastructure spending package is out there, and all these other big bankers have looked at this and said, we gonna be motherfucking rich. So we'll talk about that with IBD and CNBC this morning. Your Bitcoin is at, let's get a refresh on this, $65,882 US dollars and 80 cents. That has a comfortable rise over the weekend. So those of you who are into Bitcoin got a little bit of a reward coming back up out of this here. I prefer to go with smaller coins because they're easier to collect, and if something does randomly come back and shoot up to the top, Doge, you can become very comfortable off of that too. So definitely look into that. And Shibu, come on, buy more Shibu, you guys. Drive the price up a little bit. I need more Shibu. I have like 227,000 Shibu coin. So that's what we're seeing coming back up off the crypto. Looking in at your metal prices here. On the top averages, copper is down, steel is up on average, and aluminum is up on the average. Looking at your individual prices, your bare copper wire is down. Looks like almost all of your copper plays are down, except for some of your wires. Insulated copper wire is up, thin wire is up, Romex is up, brass is down, shells are down, and aluminum and copper fin radiators are both up. On your steel, BX is up, light iron is down, number one steel is down, cast iron is up, rotors are down. That's gonna suck because I have to go unload rotors next week. A complete car is up, shreddable steel is up, stainless steel is up. On your aluminum plays, siding is up, aluminum copper fin radiators are up, regular aluminum radiators are down, cans are down, sheet aluminum is down, rims are way up. On your other plays, motors are down, ballasts are up, lead is up, batteries are down, catalytic converters are mixed, compressors are down, alternators are down, carbide is down, hard drives are down. So it's a mixed bag seeing what the metals are and what the industrials are coming into this holiday season. Let's see what IBD has to say. Dow Jones futures rise, Tesla stock falls after Elon Musk wins approval to sell 10% of stake. Ooh, that's not going to be good for the Dow coming into the regular trading of the day. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures and S&P 500 futures rose slightly Monday morning, while NASDAQ futures edged lower with Tesla stock in focus. The stock market rally continued to press on to new highs last week, with all the key indices hitting record highs. I want to just double check everybody else's chat here because everybody was... Spartan doesn't like my shirt. Oh, that's sad. I like my shirt, so I'm going to continue wearing it. But yes, we have the restream, the restream chat running here. Good deal, good deal. Yeah, I just want to check everybody's chat. just for a second because I didn't have everything connected out. There we go. Alright, let's get into it. That give us enough time for the advertisement to come up to the top. Okay. Why can't I get out of the advertisement? Excuse me? Let's try this again, shall we? Alright. Dow Jones futures and S&P 500 futures rose slightly Monday morning, while NASDAQ futures edged lower with Tesla stock in focus. The stock market rally continued to press on to new highs last week, with all the key indices hitting record highs. The NASDAQ is getting extended as Tesla and especially Nvidia surged higher last week, with other EV and chip names also soaring. It's time to pay close attention and consider some portfolio management. Tesla fell solidly. I hate when they switch the video here and then it just shifts all the text. Tesla fell solidly into the pre-market after CEO Elon Musk proposed Saturday that he could sell a slice of his mammoth Tesla stock holdings. A majority of respondents to a Twitter poll supported the deal. Meanwhile, Nvidia is expected to announce big metaverse push in keynote speech on Tuesday. Oh good, Nvidia is getting involved in that. That means that you should definitely trust that. Meanwhile, take a closer look at Expedia stock, Airbnb, Booking Holdings, Apple, Moderna, and Peloton worldwide. Expedia, Airbnb, and Booking stock all broke out on Friday, buoyed by strong results last week and several positive tailwinds. Pinko pox cases are down sharply, vaccinations are up, travel restrictions are easing, while a new Pfizer COVID pill offers a much greater treatment for patients who do get the coronavirus. Travel could be the new hot sector, and far more than online travel sites. Hyatt, last week joined several hotel operators breaking out. Even airlines beset by soaring fuel costs and widespread labor shortages are starting to bounce back. Meanwhile, that Pfizer COVID drug news slammed mRNA stock and other COVID vaccine makers, but Moderna stock has flashed several signals in the prior month. So did Peloton, which crashed to a 16-month low on Friday on horrible Q3 results. Finally, Apple stock has now cup with handle buy point, but the Apple chart shows an important flaw. Tesla, Nvidia, and Airbnb are on the IBD leaderboard. Nvidia and Tesla are on the IBD 50. Late Friday, the House passed the $1 trillion infrastructure bill, which includes $550 billion in new funding. The vote was 228 to 206, with 13 Republicans providing crucial support as 6 left-wing Democrats opposed the measure. The legislation, which already passed the Senate months ago, will go to President Biden for his signature. Steel and construction materials were early winners on Monday, with Dow, giant caterpillar, likely on the infrastructure bill. House Democrats are still struggling to agree on tax and spend reconciliation bill. The Senate will almost certainly make changes to the House legislation, so a final package is weeks, if not months away. On your futures, the Dow futures rose 0.3% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.1%. NASDAQ 100 futures fell slightly as Tesla is acting as a drag. Man, that's a drag. Crude oil futures rose 1%. Cryptos are rallying, with Ethereum topping 4,700 for the first time and Bitcoin near recent record highs. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Let's see what CNBC has to say. Then we will get right into the major main news of the day. Dow futures higher after Friday's record close and approval of spending package in Congress. This is from Hannah Meow. Dow futures rose in early trading after the major U.S. market indices reached record highs Friday, following a better-than-expected October jobs report. I don't even have that on the stack because that was such a worthless fucking flawed play. Oh, look! Biden gave us a record jobs creation month! He gave us more than expected. Dude, that's not even a record for his presidency. The record for his asterisk administration is 791,000 jobs. And that was after all the mandates started going away in red states. And all the unemployment started expiring in red states. And we're also looking at this, and a lot of this is localities. The Biden presidency has done nothing to either hamper or promote job growth. It's just all localities are not doing anything right now to come back and try to torpedo a presidency. So, I mean, let me take back what I just said. He did do something to try to stimulate job growth, and that was by existing. By not falling down the stairs and dying. By being upright and above ground. That's what he has done in order to promote job growth, because localities are not sitting out here currently coming out trying to say, what do we do? Because our president, he's so unpopular with us, but he's got such great job numbers. We have to torpedo him. He might get elected. It's the economy, stupid. Oh, I know. Let's invent a virus out of whole cloth. Let's make a moral panic about it and a physical panic about it, and let's shut down our economy to go back and make sure that the jobs numbers look the way that we want them to. And now that there's somebody that they like in office, that's not a deal anymore. Now it's just, okay, well, we're going to come back out here and whatever we can do. Whatever we can do just to make this happen. We need to have jobs, so your unemployment benefits are done. Our restrictions are done. All right. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 67 points or 0.2%. S&P 500 futures were little changed. NASDAQ 100 futures traded near the flat line. The moves in futures trading came after the House of Representatives late Friday passed a more than $1 trillion infrastructure bill, sending the legislation to President Biden for his signature. The package passed the Senate in August would provide new funding for transportation, utilities, broadband, and other infrastructure projects. Dow 30 mainstay Caterpillar saw its shares rise about 4% in pre-market trading, as the manufacturer of construction equipment could get a benefit from the spending package. Heavy equipment producer Deere also got a lift with shares up more than 2%. Vulcan Materials gained 5%, and Nucor added more than 4%. You're also going to see, especially if they do get this through and start to see some of the spending coming, that is where we're going to start to see the steel plays go back up, because they're going to want that steel and cast iron to make rebar. You won't see it as heavily, well, let me rephrase that, because you'll probably see it a little bit heavily as well in the copper market because of wires. You won't see it as heavily in the aluminum market, but you'll see it in the copper market for sure. But you'll also see Volvo start to come up. Yeah, you'll see Deere, you'll see a few of these other manufacturers come back up. The trucking industry, if the chip shortage can get the fuck out of the way, we'll start to sell trucks. So, I mean, you will definitely see a boom somewhere in place of the economy. But once again, I look at these bills, these big bills like this, and all I see is pork barrel spending. And what are you know what? We're not going to do the complaints about this here, because in fact we will wait to do this until we look into the main articles off of this. Let's see. A number of energy companies also got a boost on rising energy prices, and after President Biden's remark that he does not expect OPEC nations to react to a call to speed productions. Coterra Energy added more than 1% pre-market. That's going to be something to watch, especially with the infrastructure bill going back up too, because A, they want to go out and make more of these roads, but they don't want to fuel the vehicles that are going to be doing this. If the energy sector goes up and all the prices go up, I mean, oil for the trucks, oil to make diesel fuel, oil to make gasoline, oil to make kerosene, acetylene, natural gas. These are all things that a lot of these trucks run on or require to keep running, or to, do the cutting for the stuff out there. So there are a lot of other sectors that are being affected other than just what's going on the roads and bridges. And that is, once again, if they go spend all of this on actual roads and bridges, or if they just let this out here as a pork barrel fucking bill. Let's see. Tesla founder Elon Musk rattled investors this weekend, asking in a Twitter poll whether he should sell 10% of his stock as a result of political clamoring to tax unrealized gains from equity holdings. As some 58% of the respondents said yes, Tesla shares dropped more than 4% in pre-market trading. The three major U.S. averages each closed at record highs Friday to cap off a winning week. The Dow rose 203.72 points, or nearly 0.6% in its sixth straight position day. The S&P 500 gained 0.4% for its seventh winning session in a row. The Nasdaq added 0.2% to post its 10th consecutive positive session. The rally came after the jobs report came in better than economists had expected. U.S. payrolls added 531,000 jobs last month, according to the Labor Department. Friday's report also revised up September and August payroll numbers. Right after they got their asses handed to them in Virginia, by the way. They think that you guys are fucking stupid, that you don't realize the fact that they have to come out here and have these wins when they come out and get their asses handed to and stuff like that. You guys know, you pay attention, you're one of the smartest audiences in live streaming. You guys know what they're doing. Now, as far as this, I mean the 531,000 jobs, that's, a moderate job growth, but you're also coming to a holiday season and you're pushing more into the service sector. And you are seeing big locations like New York and California lift off some of their restrictions because, California had like a third of the new unemployment numbers. California carried like a third of them. But now we're starting to see restrictions come back up and people start to go back to work, albeit as a temporary holiday job. So yes, you're going to see those numbers go up, but it's the revise. Oh, we found that there were like 340,000 more jobs in September and August, both months that had a sub 200,000 job growth. Oh, look, we just found all these extra jobs off of here. Look at us, we're heroes. And I think that's a lot of bullshit, but they needed a win. They desperately needed a win. All right, with that, let's get into the big news of the day. And normally I would keep all the COVID stuff put together, but we've got a separate COVID section down here that we need to talk about. But before we do that, we are going to talk about this one because this is, I think, the leading news of the weekend from WAFB 9. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals suspends Biden's vaccine mandate. From Chris Rosato. Attempts to chip away at OSHA's vaccine mandate for companies with more than 100 employees saw success on Saturday, November 6th. A federal panel ruled that the mandate cannot be enforced after business owners across the South filed lawsuits with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans. Well, the OSHA mandate, first of all, is unconstitutional because it exceeds the authority Congress gave to OSHA, said Sarah Harbison with the Pelican Institute, which represents one of the business owners. As I said earlier, OSHA is set up to respond to hazards that are in the workplace. That's the authority that Congress has given them, and they can't exceed that authority. Let me dial this music back just a touch, because I'm just looking over at my monitors, and it's not that far below where I'm talking. All right, let's do that here. Sorry about that. The mandate would have set a January deadline for companies to require workers to go get vaccinated against the pinko fucking pox or participate in weekly tests. After that, the federal government would start issuing fines. The court's ruling temporarily blocks any of that from happening, but Harbison said her clients are looking for a more permanent solution. We asked the courts to first issue an emergency stay, which they did. Secondly, we've asked that they issue a permanent injunction that would keep it from taking effect even after briefing arguments are held, she explained. Harbison added that she believes that other companies have filed similar lawsuits, but theirs was just the first to make it through the door. You immediately file in the circuit court, you bypass the federal district court altogether. That's why we're in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, she continued. Which is not a bad strategy, and given the fact that it's coming down from the executive branch of the government, I don't know the legality of everything else that goes along with this, but I do believe that if it's coming federal government directly to people, or directly to private businesses in this case, if it's bypassing state legislature, state executive branch, and even Congress and going directly to the people, I do believe that yes, you can go back and bypass all the other circuit courts there, because this is the federal government versus you at this point. According to Harbison, each challenge that has been submitted to a circuit court in other states will eventually have the opportunity to be reviewed as well. After about 10 days, I believe all the circuit courts that receive these challenges, their circuit numbers will be placed in a hopper, and there will be a drawing, kind of like a Powerball, and the court will ultimately hear all of these challenges will be selected at random drawing, said Harbison. She believes this case has the momentum to make it all the way to the Supreme Court, and added that if the courts don't stop the president's actions here, she's worried what could come next. If he's using OSHA or the administrative procedure to implement his policy positions, where does it stop? Said Harbison. The White House has until 5 p.m. today to respond to this latest challenge. So that's where we sit off of this. Now, the Biden admin can come back and respond and say, no, this is a state of emergency. I absolutely have the power to do this and regulate the health of the workplace. But he kind of doesn't have a fucking leg to stand on here right there. And he fucked himself. Now, if he would have stuck with the original December 4th mandate, I think maybe he could have actually had a leg to stand on for this. End of November, was it end of November or was it beginning of December? I don't know. But if he just stuck with the original mandate time, I think that he actually would have had a leg to stand on to come back and sue this back out and possibly get this back reinstated. There is a possibility. I don't like the fact that the possibility was there, but had he kept with the original timeline, and in fact, had he just come in and said, okay, this is happening, this is starting right now, back when this was announced, back in September, I think he also could have had a leg to stand on. After this got sued back out, and they came out and issued an injunction saying, okay, you have to prove to us now where you have the authority to do this. Which, this is a congressional thing. First off, if this does get passed into law, this is something that can't be done by the executive branch unilaterally. This is something where you have to have your representation come back out, argue about this with each other, make the law, and pass it off to the president's desk. That is first and foremost, but second most, this should be coming from a state level anyway, not a federal government. And I don't agree with there being a mandate for this, but, you should still be able to look your representative at the state level, at the local level, at the whatever, in the grocery store and say, hey, what the fuck, man? Why would you do something like this? Why? Why? I would rather look at my alderman and grab him by the shoulder, like a friend, and say, hey, Bill, seriously? Then come in here, shout in front of the Capitol, and hope that the National Guard doesn't fucking shoot me in the head. So that's the first part of this, but going back to the timing of this. Now, as far as I could say, I don't think the Biden administration has a fucking leg to stand on. I don't think they do at all. Because they pushed this back out 6 weeks. If this is such a dire emergency that people are dropping dead in the workplace, that they need to come back and get the Occupational Safety and Health Administration involved in this, that this needs to be implemented right now, right this fucking second. Otherwise, this is nothing but an exercise in compliance, and your big business leaders are still pulling these strings of the government. Biden fucked himself when he pushed this back to January 4th. He absolutely fucked himself. And now, looking back at this, many of the individual companies out there are going to come back and they're going to look at this and they are going to say, okay, no, I still need you to be vaccinated. Especially if you're involved in healthcare. I think pharmacies are going to do this. I think Walgreens is going to do this. I think they already do. I think CVS is going to do this. But like all your hospitals are still going to do this. Your individual companies can, and then you have the choice whether or not to come back and work for them. And we're going to still see this stupid fucking bullshit in places like New York and California as well, where people have just become accustomed to kneeling down and saying, yes, government, we will do exactly what you tell us. But this is a win. This is a win for federalism. This is a win for local authority, local supremacy. And this is a win for the workers who would rather wait and see. And we're going to see 1,000 hit pieces in the next few days about, oh, well, this person is in the hospital and he's on the ventilator. The last thing he said before they put him on the ventilator was, oh, I wish I'd have gotten the vaccine. prepare for a slew of those, because every outlet is going to go start looking for those stories. This person didn't get vaccinated and he died of the COVID, and he wished he'd have got the vaccine. Mark my words, that's coming back once again. Alright, we need to keep going off of this. But that's the biggest news of the weekend right there. Congratulations. Alright, let's go talk about this monstrosity that's coming through the House Senate, going to the president's desk for signature. Or rubber stamp. I don't know which one it's going to be. Alright, let's see what we have here from CNBC. House passes $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill that includes transport, broadband, utility funding, and sends it to Biden. Also, pork barrel projects to make sure that all their big donors get fucking kickbacks. Oops, did I say that out loud? From Jacob Pramuk. The House passed more than $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill late Friday, sending it to President Biden's desk in a critical step towards enacting sprawling Democratic economic plans. The Senate approved the revamp of transportation, utilities, and broadband in August. The legislation's passage is perhaps the unified Democratic government's most concrete achievement since it approved a $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package in the spring. The measure passed with a 228 to 206 vote. 13 Republicans supported it. Yeah, we'll be talking about them. While 6 Democrats voted against it. Biden could sign the bill within days. Washington has tried and failed for years to pass a major bill to upgrade critical transportation and utility infrastructure, which has come under more pressure from extreme weather. The White House has also contended passage of the bill can help get goods moving as supply chain obstacles contribute to higher prices for American consumers. Oh yes, this is going to open up the supply chain lines. Road construction, which often brings down highway speeds to 20 to 30 miles an hour, is definitely going to help get all these products moving faster and faster. You dumb fucking twit. The vote Friday followed a day of wrangling over how to enact the 2 planks of the party's agenda. The push and pull exemplified party leaders' months-long struggle to get progressives and centrists, who have differing visions of the government's role in the economy, behind the same bills. Democrats entered the day planning to pass both the infrastructure legislation and the party's larger $1.75 trillion social safety net and climate package. Demand from a handful of centrists to see a congressional budget office estimate the social spending plan's budgetary effects delayed its approval. Progressives sought assurance that the holdouts would support the bigger proposal if they voted for the infrastructure bill. After hours of talks and a Biden call into a progressive caucus meeting urging lawmakers to back the infrastructure bill, the party's liberal wing got assurances from centrists that they would support the larger package. The social and climate plan then cleared a key procedural hurdle early Saturday morning. Congressional Progressive Caucus Chair Pramila Jayapal said that the group reached a deal to back the infrastructure plan in exchange for a commitment to take up the safety net bill. No later than the week of November 15th, a group of 5 centrists separately issued a statement saying they would back the Build Back Better legislation pending a CBO score that assuages their concerns about long-term budget deficits. In a statement after the House vote, Biden said the legislation would create millions of jobs, turn the climate crisis into an opportunity and put us on a path to win the economic competition for the 21st century, man. Come on, man. He also noted that the procedural vote on the second Democratic bill it'll allow for passage of my Build Back Better Act in the House in the week of November 15th. Come on, man. The House is out of Washington next week, and it could take the CBO days or weeks to prepare a score of the legislation. The bills together make up the core of Biden's domestic agenda. Democrats see the plans as complementary pieces designed to boost the economy, jolt the job market, provide a layer of insurance to working families, and curb climate change. Yes, we make the American people less productive by giving them 12 fucking weeks of vacation. And yes, we will go win the global economy. Absolutely. Well, I do suppose, yeah, you'll have to go hire more people to cover the vacation time. See, a double job growth. Biden and Democrats have looked for a signature achievement they can point to on the 2022 midterm campaign trail as the president's approval ratings flag. Biden will welcome Friday's developments as House passage of the bill followed a strong October jobs report, honk honk, and approval of Pfizer's COVID vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds in the U.S. While Biden could sign the infrastructure bill soon, the safety net and climate package will likely take weeks longer. Well, the 15th is in 7 days, so good luck with that. The House will have to wait for the CBO score. The Senate may pass a different version of the plan that would require another House vote. Senate Majority Leader Charles U. Schumer has set a Thanksgiving target to pass the larger Democratic bill. Well, it's all on you, Manchin. You are the kingmaker at this point. So that's what we're seeing off of that. That has passed. Now, some pushback, of course. From Politico, whole day was a clusterfuck. Dems overcome distrust to send infrastructure bill to Biden. From Heather Cagle, Sarah Ferris, Nicholas Wu, and Olivia Beavers. House Democrats on Friday broke a months-long fever that has imperiled their entire domestic agenda, thanks to a truce from moderates and liberals, brokered to advance more than $2 trillion in party priorities. The truce bore fruits late as the House cleared a $550 billion infrastructure bill for President Biden's signature just before midnight and moved ahead on Democrats' $1.75 trillion social spending package. That is already false. That is a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Just so you're aware, the two milestones capped off a frantic and nearly disastrous day for the party, ending what has proved to be Speaker Pelosi's most grueling exercise yet so far, this Congress with just 3 votes to lose. The whole day is just a clusterfuck, right? The senior progressive rep, Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, yeah, that asshole, who helped negotiate the rapprochement with moderates. At the end of the day, what we'll all do is get the president's agenda done, and that's what we're going to do. Pocan is, by the way, the progressive from Madison. Just so you're aware. District 2, Madison. Madison, Dane County, and slightly surrounding. In the end, Pelosi only lost 6 Democrats on the infrastructure vote, all progressives. 13 Republicans voted in favor, giving Democrats more wiggle room on the floor. The successful vote followed hours of painstaking negotiations between moderates and progressives that yielded a statement from caucus centrists, committing to the party-line social safety net bill if cost estimates met their projections. But the caveat is that the centrist statement underscored the fragility of the underlying accord. House moderates are now staking their votes on an independent budget analysis that may take weeks to produce. While the House only took a procedural vote on Friday on the progressive package of healthcare, childcare, and environmental investments, Biden and other Democrat leaders publicly promised the chamber would vote on the bill before Thanksgiving. The social spending legislation will then go to the Senate, where it will almost certainly be tweaked and then sent back to the House for another vote. This is going to be a defining moment for us as a Democratic Party to say we're going to build trust among each other. I'll tell you, it's been exhausting to hear all the different efforts come together, said Representative Brenda Lawrence of Michigan. Despite the uncertainty, the centrist statements represents a significant detente between the Democrat caucus's 2 warring factions after months of ideological sparring that threatened to take Biden to the mat too, despite Democrats having full control of Washington. In a sign of how much trust is eroded, Congressional Progressive Caucus leader Pramila Jayapal asked each of the centrists who signed the statement to look her in the eye as they committed both publicly and privately to vote for the broader spending deal after they've seen cost estimates according to the multiple Democrats familiar with the exchange. Dude, if you think that a congressperson looking you in the eye means that he's telling you the truth, you have not been watching Congress at all. But yes, this monstrosity is here, and we will see what happens with the other monstrosity. Grab one from CNN. These 6 House Democrats voted against the infrastructure bill. These 13 Republicans voted for it. The House Friday voted 228 to 206 to pass the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. By the way, this is from Annie Grayer. So here are the 6 Democrats who broke from their party to vote against the bill. Jamal Bowman of New York, Cory Bush of Missouri, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of Twitch, Ilhan Omar of Somalia, Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, and Rashida Tlaib of Palestine. In support, these 13 Republicans voted with the Democrats to approve the bill. They are Don Bacon of Nebraska, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Andrew Garbarino of New York, Anthony Gonzalez of Ohio, John Katko of New York, Judas Iscariot of Illinois, Nicole Malliotakis of New York, David McKinley of West Virginia, Tom Reed of New York, Chris Smith of New Jersey, Fred Upton of Michigan, Jeff Van Drew, D. New Jersey, and Don Young of Alaska. I find it interesting that Kinzinger is on this list. This is his last fuck you to Republicans after voting for the impeachment. That was a fucking sham. And being, for the most part, a Democrat in and of itself, as his district is eliminated. This is his last fuck you to Republicans. And he's given us quite a lot of them. We have seen a lot of fuck yous go to Republicans from Adam Kinzinger, who represents a district that starts just about, let's say 20 miles that direction. So that's what we see coming back up out of that. Is this where I want this to be? This is not where I want this to be. Why is this up here? We've got to put this down here. Where do I have this? This goes here. Yep, this goes here. All right, let's talk about McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy faces Republican attacks after failing to stop infrastructure bill's passage. From Fatma Khalid. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy faced Republican backlash Saturday after failing to stop the passage of the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill on Friday. The bill wouldn't have passed were it not for 13 Republicans who voted in favor of the infrastructure plan. That made critics of the GOP question McCarthy's ability to lead the party in the future. The infrastructure bill passed with a final vote of 228 to 206 after lengthy negotiations. Most Republicans and 6 Democrats voted against it. The bipartisan bill passed in the Senate in August with 19 Republican votes. The legislation aims to improve the country's infrastructure, including roads, bridges, rail, airports, over 5 years. Plus, it also aims to improve relations with Congress, with big business people, big construction gurus, and big union leaders over 5 years. Did I say that out loud? Some House Republicans expressed their frustration about the key role that the GOP colleagues played in the bill's passage. I can't believe Republicans just gave the Democrats their socialism bill, Matt Gaetz of Florida tweeted on Saturday. Chip Roy chimed in, tweeting that 13 House Republicans provided the votes needed to pass. This is absurd. Well, look to the Senate too, dude, because 19. You had more senators in a smaller chamber get on board with this than you had in the House. So, dude, it's not just on House Republicans. Keep that in mind. Not that I agree with this, but also keep in mind that this is not just a full-on partisan thing. And, I mean, you only lost 13 votes in the House, Chip Roy. You lost 19 in the Senate. That's a greater percentage of the Senate. Meanwhile, Madison Cawthorn targeted Republicans before the Friday vote when he wrote on Twitter, "Vote for this infrastructure bill and I will primary the hell out of you." Well, you won't be primarying Kinzinger because Illinois already primaried him. They eliminated his district, but yeah. And of course, at this point, because we're also going to be talking about supply chain stuff, Biden had to come in and he had to weigh in on some of this stuff here. Tom Elliott tweets out, Biden mocks Americans' intelligence. Let's just listen to him. That's where we cut the music from.
Mr. President, Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger said of your presidency this week, nobody elected him to be FDR. They elected him to be normal and stop the chaos. How do you view your mandate after Tuesday's election losses for Democrats, and is she wrong?
Well, Abigail's a friend. We had a long talk. She joked and said, and I have a picture, she said, I have a picture of Roosevelt hanging in my office, her office, okay? I don't intend to be anybody but Joe Biden. That's who I am. And what I'm trying to do is do the things that I ran on to do. And look, people out there are ordinary, hardworking Americans, are really, really been put through the ringer the last couple years, starting with COVID. COVID has disrupted almost every family one way or another, whether it's wearing a mask or losing a family member. You know, 750,000 plus Americans dead. 750,000. And so people are worried. People are also worried about, coming up, they don't, understandably. Why is the price of agricultural products, and when I go to the store, why is it higher? Like, for example, if we were all going out and having lunch together and I said, let's ask whoever's in the next table, no matter what restaurant we're in, have them explain the supply chain to us. Think they'd understand what we're talking about? They're smart people. But supply chain. Well, why is everything backed up? Well, it's backed up because the people supply the materials that end up being on our kitchen table or in our...
I love the fact that Biden can come out here and say to reporters, the average person, they don't understand the supply chain. And get away with it. The media runs so much cover for this asshole, it's not even funny. That would be a career-ending statement to any other president in the history of these United States. In the history, from 1776 to now, that would be a career-ending statement for anybody else. But for Biden, it's just a fucking Tuesday. But speaking of Biden, he is in apparently a little bit of hot water coming up here. Let's read first the tweet, and then we will go on and read some of the articles to go with this, because it doesn't seem so much that... I mean, this has been out there for a while, allegedly. I've never heard about it before today, but this has apparently been out there for a while. But let's talk about Ashley Biden. From Dre Fanzor tweets out to start off with. Breaking, Ashley Biden's diary confirmed to be real by the FBI since they have now raided the Project Veritas journalist's home over it. Ashley Biden talked about weird, not appropriate showers with her dad, Joe Biden, in the text of the diary. Quote tweeting article from The Independent. FBI searches Project Veritas personnel in probe into Ashley Biden's stolen diary. Independent.co.uk/news/world. Yeah, we've got a hyperlink there. Let's see. Starting with The Hill. Project Veritas caught up in the probe of Biden daughter's stolen diary. Report from Carolyn Vakil. The conservative group Project Veritas appears to be caught in an investigation that federal authorities are conducting regarding a diary stolen from President Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden. The New York Times, a former newspaper, citing two people briefed on the unfolding events, reported Friday that agents went to the town of Mamaroneck, I don't know how badly I butchered that, in Westchester County, as well as locations in New York City, to conduct two court-ordered searches on Thursday. The areas were tied to people who worked with Project Veritas and the group's founder and CEO James O'Keefe, the Times reported. The agents performed law enforcement activity related to an ongoing investigation. At both places, the spokesperson for the FBI in New York told the newspaper. The spokesperson declined to comment further, and a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan declined to comment to the Times. The FBI's New York division told The Hill that it had no specific comment on the report. The Hill has also reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. The Times reported that the authorities are conducting an investigation into Ashley Biden's diary, which surfaced online days before the November 2020 election. Project Veritas did not publish the diary, but a website owned by the company called Flyover Media did, according to the newspaper. O'Keefe acknowledged in a viral video released on Friday that federal authorities had executed search warrants at the locations tied to Project Veritas personnel, but denied any wrongdoing by the group. He asserted that the group had been contacted by tipsters last year who claimed that they had a copy of Ashley Biden's diary with information on then-candidate Joe Biden. O'Keefe stated that this group decided against the publishing of the diary because they could not confirm its authenticity. He also claimed that they tried to give it back to the attorney for Biden, and that they later gave it to law enforcement. The FBI took materials of current and former Veritas journalists, despite the fact that our legal team previously contacted the Department of Justice and voluntarily conveyed unassailable facts that demonstrate Project Veritas' lack of involvement in the criminal activity and/or criminal intent, O'Keefe said in a video. The New York Times is in the midst of a libel lawsuit filed by Project Veritas regarding a story published last year covering a video that included allegations of voter fraud, which there was none of, and 2020 was the most fairest and freest election in history. Hong Kong, 80 million votes, Hong Kong, most popular president in history. It's interesting that I was in the midst of that spiel as Instagram went down. It's almost like they knew what I was about to say. But Hong Kong, most popular president in history, more votes than Barack Obama. Hong Kong, 80 million votes. Yep, everything else that goes along with that. Hong Kong, Hong Kong, Hong Kong, Hong Kong, Hong. My question here is, why now? Because it's not like there was just a drop on this diary. Now, the archived version of the diary is in my Discord, by the way. I am not going to put that on Twitter. I'm just going to put that right out there. My friend Midget B did find this. He did have it archived, and he put it into the Discord. So if you guys want to read any of it, it's there. It's about 119 pages. It's handwritten, keep in mind. So some of it might be a little bit hard to read on the Discord size, unless you go back and open the full page off of it. But it is there. It is archived. So, I mean, they can't bring it, draw it back down. But for obvious reasons, because of my misinformation and my Project Veritas and everything else like that, I'm not going to post it to Twitter. I am not going to do that. If I want to get banned from Twitter, it's going to be because I shut some leftist down on an argument, not because I posted something that we find was incorrect and inappropriate. But according to, and some of the other things that I've seen about this, and I believe there's another article on this. Yes, there is. According to this, I mean, this whole thing talks about the creepiness of Joe Biden in itself. Miss Biden, of course, coming forward, asking herself why she is in such a state of disarray, asking herself why she's almost 40, unmarried. I think she's over 40, but in the diary, but over 40, unmarried, as a social worker, this, that, and the next thing. They talks about that, but it also goes into talks about inappropriate showers that the current president took with her. I cannot verify the veracity of these showers. But with the FBI coming in and now doing the probe off of this, I've got a feeling that there's something there. And this, of course, appears to be a very, very political move. Now, as far as the diary goes, I don't know how James O'Keefe came to have this in his hands. I can't answer for that. I don't know if it wound up in a bin somewhere and went to Goodwill, if somebody picked it up and say, hey, that's Ashley Biden's diary. Hey, let's give this over to James O'Keefe. Or if somebody actually broke into Ashley Biden's house and stole the fucking thing. I don't know what happened off of this. Neither did the FBI agents, and neither did anybody that's speculating on Twitter right now, because there is going to be a lot of speculation. There's going to be a lot of speculation that says, see, O'Keefe is a criminal and he personally broke into Ashley Biden's house and stole this. He didn't. I can almost assure you of that. I don't know, but I can almost assure you that O'Keefe himself didn't do that. Whether he ordered somebody to do that, I can't say. That doesn't seem like his MO, but it might have happened this time. I can't say whether or not this was his decision to come up and do. All I can say is that it has been in O'Keefe's hands. He did give it back, but it has also been released, and apparently people think that's true enough. Let's read one from the New York Post. Project Veritas founder's apartment raided as part of probe into Ashley Biden's stolen diary. Report. From Jesse O'Neill, the FBI raided Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe's home on Saturday as authorities continue to investigate the apparent theft of President Biden's daughter's diary, a report said. The court-ordered early morning raid of O'Keefe's Mamaroneck apartment was reported by the New York Times, a former newspaper. It came 2 days after the feds reportedly raided 2 New York addresses linked to associates of the conservative website's creator. Neighbors of... Let's back up the truck here, and I noticed this in the Hill article too. It's really disingenuous to call Veritas a conservative website. Now, in the most part, most of the people that he has gone after have been liberals, but they've also been the ones who have done the stupid shit. He has gone back after Republicans for doing and saying stupid shit too, and catching stuff on hot mics with undercover reporters as well. He is not a conservative. Well, his personal politics I don't know, but the website is not conservative. It's just, it seems that there's more and more left-wingers that have been caught in stupid shit lately. But he is open and free and fair to go after everybody else in the world. So that's really disingenuous. Neighbors of the 37-year-old told the Times about the several hours-long search, and the FBI confirmed to the paper that agents had performed law enforcement activity at his building. They asked for James, the next-door neighbor Jimmy Maines reportedly said, "I thought they were banging on my door. I opened the door. They told me to close the door, and I closed the door," he told the paper. "That's exactly what happened. It was still dark." And of course they have to go back and execute their search warrant in the dead of night, in the midst of night, because, hey, he might come back up with a gun and start shooting, and then we get to take care of the problem of James O'Keefe. I bet you it was running through one FBI agent's mind, at least. Brent McCall, who lives across the hall, said that agents said something along the lines of FBI warrant open up, according to the article. Project Veritas did not publish messages from 40-year-old Ashley Biden's diary, but the National File blog published handwritten pages from it about a week ahead of the 2020 election after claiming it obtained the content from a whistleblower at other news organizations. The papers reported the blog posts were largely ignored by larger media outlets, including conservative ones. Yeah, this is the first we're hearing about it. That's, by the way, a way to put something up in the news that somebody needs to talk about, and I do think this is a distraction. So nobody comes back and talks about the Rittenhouse trial or the inflate structure bill or anything else like that. I think that this is a big distraction out here, that this is getting put out off of this, because it has been a year and 3 weeks since this got released. And as mentioned here, the majority of people didn't even know this existed. Nobody knew this existed until the FBI went into Veritas's home. Absolutely nobody had any idea that this was even in existence. Now, a lot of people right now are going to come out and claim that, yeah, I knew this was here, but no. A few weeks before the election, this was Hunter territory. This was New York Post and the Hunter laptop story and everything else off of this. Nobody knew anything about Ashley. I didn't even know Biden had a daughter until this week. I knew about Beau and I knew about Hunter. But that's where we come off of that. Let's shift gears here. Let's talk about the vaccine, starting with this tweet from the official Big Bird account. "I got the COVID vaccine today. My wing is feeling a little sore, but it'll give my body an extra protective boost that keeps me and others healthy. Miss Erica R. Hill even said that I've been getting vaccines since I was a little bird. I had no idea. A puppet got a vaccine. Now, those of you who are more into veterinary medicine, I do have one question to come off of this before I go into anything else off of this. Is there actually a vaccine schedule for birds? I've known a few people who have had birds, mostly small birds, parakeets, stuff like that. I've known a few people that have had them, and as far as I know, they bring them to the pet or home from the pet store, and they put them on a ledge in a window, and then they get annoyed when they sing. That's pretty much the only thing that I see out of people who have birds. Is there actually a vaccine schedule for birds? And I'm not talking about the pinko fucking pox vaccine. I'm talking about like an actual distemper or something like that. Because I don't believe there is. And, of course, and we'll talk about this from Sky News, which I don't know if Mad Cow Mark is here, because I know he wants me to use Sky News every once in a while. First comment here, President Biden. Good on you, Big Bird. Getting vaccinated is the best way to keep your keep your whole neighborhood safe, man. Come on. President Biden, a sitting president of the United States, congratulated a puppet bird for getting the commie fucking coof vaccine. So let's talk about this. Refresh. Refresh. Come on. Continue without supporting this time. Yes. From NBC News, Big Bird's vaccination announcement sparks backlash from conservatives, GOP. See, before I even read into this, I look at this, and I think back to an old Carlin joke from back when he was still alive. God rest his soul. I think it was from back in town, when he was talking about things that pissed him off. He says, what's another thing that pisses me off? Oh yeah, news outlets talking about Mickey Mouse's birthday like it's an actual event. These people are wasting valuable news time on the birthday of a fictitious fucking mouse. Fuck Mickey Mouse. I hope Mickey Mouse gets a hold of some bad cheese and gets found in the back of a bathroom stall with his hands in Goofy's pants. Thank you, George Carlin, for that, by the way, because that was not me. That was not my words. That was George Carlin. But I mean, this is the same kind of lines and stuff like this. Why is this newsworthy? The federal government is about to spend $1 trillion that it doesn't have 3.5 weeks before its debt ceiling runs back out again, and we have to go have that conversation again. James O'Keefe is being silenced for freedom of the press by the FBI. And the vaccine mandate is getting slapped down, and yet this is front page NBC News, right here. It's funny that you say Oscar the Grouch, because there was a poll asking which Sesame Street character is most likely to get unvaccinated so they can teach kids about how to other and what's the word I'm looking for? I know it's other, but there's another one here. How to ostracize people who aren't vaccinated. Alright, this is from Ben Kesslin. Big Bird's seemingly innocuous and obviously fictional announcement Saturday that he has been vaccinated against COVID-19 caused a stir online as Republicans like Senator Ted Cruz of Texas accused the yellow anthropomorphic bird of tweeting government propaganda. I mean, where's the lie? especially given the fact that Sesame Street is also about to give another CNN town hall, which CNN in and of itself is government propaganda. I got the COVID vaccine today. My wing is feeling a little sore, but I'll give my body an extra protective boost that'll keep me and others healthy. The 8'2" Muppet wrote on Twitter. Miss Erica Hill even said, I've been getting vaccines since I was a little bird. I had no idea. I am curious at this point. How old is Big Bird? Obviously, he's a puppet. I understand that. But when was Big Bird's first appearance? Was Big Bird's first appearance? November 10th, 1969. So 2 days from now would be Big Bird's... Hold on, let me take off my shoes and count on my toes. 2 days from now would be Big Bird's 52nd birthday. So he's getting into that time where, okay, it might be important to go get vaccinated because, you know, he's been around. He's getting up into those age groups, man. The 8'2" Muppet wrote on Twitter, Miss Erica Hill even said, I've been getting vaccines since I was a little bird. I had no idea. While Big Bird has been on Sesame Street for decades, his ageless character is meant to be 6 years old. He became eligible for the vaccine only in late October when the FDA announced that it had authorized the Pfizer vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. The right wing quickly seized on the Muppets' tweet. Government propaganda for your 5-year-old, Cruz tweeted. Well, yeah, that's once again every time that they come out and put the Muppets or Sesame Street on CNN. Brainwashing children who are not at risk from COVID, twisted, Lisa Booth of Fox News wrote. Robbie Starbuck, a Republican running for Congress in Tennessee, joked about Big Bird's dying from the shot, saying, 7 days later, big blood clot bird is served. That's kind of dark. I'm not going to lie. I just made a joke about Mickey Mouse getting a hold of some bad cheese and dying in a bathroom. Well, I quoted somebody else's joke. Let me rephrase that. I just quoted somebody else's joke about Mickey Mouse getting a hold of bad cheese and dying in a bathroom with his hand in Goofy's pants. And even I found that in bad taste. Come on, Robbie. Many people were happy to see Big Bird's tweet, thanking Sesame Street for discussing the shot. People also shared clips from decades ago in which the yellow puppet introduced to the concept of vaccination to the show's audience. Apparently, this was the first time that he was on here. Let's kill the music and let's listen to this. I'm curious.
Something's going on down at the store. I wonder what's... It's kind of funny. I mean, it's strange. I mean, there's all kinds of people, and they're all in a line, and they don't look like they're buying candy. And there's a sign that says, don't wait, vaccinate. Huh. And there goes a boy with a balloon coming out of the store. Hey, what's going on here?
So that's the first time, and apparently I'm sure there's probably a much longer lesson here, but the Henson Creature Shop is probably sitting here with their finger on the report button. Oh, somebody let us know that there was an audio clip of something of ours, of our intellectual property. Copyright. Sesame Street has been addressing the pinko fucking pox throughout the pandemic, discussing vaccines and teaching kids about masks and staying healthy. Little research has been done about birds getting COVID-19, but the CDC says chickens and ducks do not seem to become infected or spread the infection based on results from studies. So, legitimately, this is nothing but a propaganda piece, which, I mean, everybody in the brother fucking knew that already. But, yeah, literally propaganda, because, I mean, Big Bird is supposed to be forever 6 years old. Why he's walking around the inner city without a parent is fucking beyond me. At 6 years old, if he's perpetually 6 years old. But that's what we have from this. And from Sky News. President Biden congratulates Big Bird for COVID vaccine, while Texas Senator accuses Sesame Street Muppet of propaganda. From Megan Baines. American President Joe Biden was weighed in after Sesame Street's Big Bird was accused of spreading propaganda by a Texas senator after the cartoon Muppet announced it had been vaccinated against the pinko fucking pox. It follows the U.S.'s approval of Pfizer vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. Writing on Twitter, the giant yellow bird, who is eternally 6 years old, said, "I got the COVID vaccine today. My wing feels a little sore, but I'll give my body an extra protective boost that keeps me and others healthy." However, Cruz, who is vaccinated and has previously said, "I believe in vaccines," responded with government propaganda for your 5-year-olds. However, President Biden congratulated the Sesame Street resident and said, "Good on you, Big Bird. Getting vaccinated is the best way to keep your whole neighborhood safe." And yeah, that's the propaganda that goes off of this too, because this has never been about, I'm keeping myself safe because I can't get it. And even before the vaccine dropped, even before all this came out, that's what the narrative was, is I'm doing this because this keeps me safe. I'm doing this because this will keep myself safe. And as soon as people started not getting it, as soon as people started saying, "No, you know what, I'm going to hold off on this," it became no, this is about keeping other people safe. This isn't about you. A number of American right-wingers had piled on after Senator Cruz tweeted with Steve Cortez, a host of conservative Newsmax network, adding, "This kind of propaganda is actually evil." That is the one citation from Newsmax you will ever see on this channel, because they are too propagandistic in the other direction for me to trust. It's the same reason you don't see MSNBC on here. Unless we're making fun of their videos, because we do that. Lisa Booth, a Fox News contributor, accused the television animal of brainwashing children who are not at risk of COVID. However, this is misleading, as children are still at risk from the virus, although less so than adults. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, as of 28th October, 6.4 million children have had the virus and account for 16% of all the coronavirus cases. And if you weren't mandating testing on people left and fucking right, or contact trace, you wouldn't know about those 6.4 million children. And I'm willing to bet it's probably close to 10 to 15 million children. Except for the fact that they're not showing symptoms, so they're not going out and getting tested. But I would be willing to throw a wager out there and say that if it wasn't for mandatory testing, your number would probably be close to 100,000 children have had the virus. You know, mandatory testing to make sure that they're not carrying an asymptomatic case. Data from the American Center for Disease Control found at least 471 children aged between 5 and 11 have died with coronavirus. And fucking Sky News gets it, by the way. I don't know if this is just a accent or language barrier that they said with coronavirus, but that's something I've been saying since the beginning of this whole fucking scam. Is that who has actually died from this disease and who has died with this? Either from a comorbidity or the fact that they happen to slam their fucking motorcycle into the back of a semi at 70 miles an hour without a helmet on, and oh, hey, we did a COVID test with what was left of this guy's nose and found out that he had COVID when he died, so don't look. I'm going to mark this in the COVID deaths because we'll get extra money for it. No. Hey, look over there. All right, what else do we have? From the Boston Herald, anti-maskers clash with counter-protesters on Boston Common as rally turns violent. From Ed Tiernan. Counter-protesters pushed through barricades and clashed with anti-maskers on Boston Common in a showdown that left 2 arrested and others rubbing pepper spray out of their eyes. The 2 groups clashed at around 11:30 a.m. on Sunday as projectiles flew overhead and ralliers pushed past police, kicking through fencing. We came here to peacefully protest when we were violently attacked by a mob that pepper sprayed us, attacked us, and refused to allow us our van to leave," said Super Happy Fun America organizer Brandon Navam, who identified himself only as Super Happy Brandon to a Herald reporter. Navam said his group, which is behind the controversial Straight Pride Parade, was concluding a pro-freedom protest on Sunday afternoon to speak out against mask vaccine and other coronavirus-related mandates when the chaos caused police to cut power to the speakers, effectively shutting down the protest. Eamon Kavanaugh and other members of the Boston First Responders United, an organization formed by firefighters, police, and medics to push back on the state-imposed COVID-19 mandates, piggybacked on Sunday's rallies. Holding a sign about Governor Charlie Baker that read, "Baker is a liar," Kavanaugh said first responders are against the mandates, requiring workers to get COVID-19 shots or lose their jobs. "We're just advocating for our freedom, our medical freedom, and to keep our jobs," Kavanaugh said. Counter-protesters organized by Solidarity Against Hate, Boston, turned up in force, outnumbering Super Happy Fun America ralliers by the hundreds. "We don't want that in our city," anti-vaxxers, people who don't believe that COVID is real, people that put other people in danger, racist transphobes, and people that hate other people for the way that they are. And of course, we can see the oxymoron in that statement. "That's not okay," said Rivka Handelman, an Emerson College student who attended Sunday's counter-protest. "They can be really loud and they can get a lot of attention, but this kind of thing is just not welcome in the community, and the fact that there are more of us than there are of them is evidence of what the community really is," Handelman added, not pointing out the fact that because the people were masked up and in Blacklock, we don't know how many of them actually came from the community and how many got bussed in from outside of the community. Dozens of officers clad in riot gear carrying billy clubs stood in formation around the Common throughout the afternoon as they worked to keep the crowd separate. A unit of state troopers strapped in helmets and holding shields held a line near the Soldiers and Sailors Monument as counter-protesters danced and played music on the hill above. Boston police made 2 arrests during the mid-afternoon, officials said. Bill Turbot of Providence was charged with disturbing the peace and interfering with police. Ron McCarran, 68, of Wakefield, was charged with disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, and driving to endanger after police say Turbot drove a van through a barrier. Both will be arraigned on Monday at Boston Municipal Court. Do you think there's FBI in Antifa, by the way? I've always wondered that, because they always seem to be showing up in places where right-wing people are gathered peacefully, and they always seem to turn it into a non-peaceful thing. I don't know. I'm sure that there's a lot of that there. All right, from CBS 7 out of Spartanburg. Pilots protest against the vaccine mandates outside Charlotte Douglas International Airport. From Julian Sadur. As planes were taking off from Charlotte Douglas International Airport Sunday, pilots who fly for major airlines and others were protesting vaccine mandates below. The rally put on by the group U.S. Freedom Flyers was organized to express their stand against the most recent requirements from the Biden admin for companies with 100 or more workers. Get vaccinated by January 4th or submit to weekly COVID testing. We're out here today because we're tired of the mandate. We're tired of being told that our bodies are not ours. Welcome to communism, said Artemis Coburn, a pilot for a major airline. It just comes down to enough is enough, and we're going to make a stand that this is our stand. Pilots, like Coburn, could not reveal which airlines they flew for because it would violate their contract. Saturday afternoon, the vaccine requirement was just temporarily halted by a federal appeals court, but if it stays, some say they'll walk from their jobs, a blow that could be devastating for an airline industry already suffering from severe staff shortages that have caused thousands of flights to be canceled. We asked one pilot if he'd walk away from his job if the vaccine requirement ended up being enforced. I am, and these people you see here, they are. If it actually comes down to that, it's going to be catastrophic for the airline industry, said Joshua Yoder, co-founder of the U.S. Freedom Flyers. I mean, they can't afford to lose 10% of their people, much less 20 to 30% across the various work groups. Yoder said those percentages are estimates of how many disagree with a mandate in the industry for varying reasons, such as religious beliefs or lack of long-term data. Just this past week, through the CDC director Rochelle Walensky, defended the research. Data shows, again and again, that the vaccines work, that they are safe, and that they can save your life, Walensky said. Despite the research, though, the group says it's about choice. And that's what it always is. It's about choice. And parents are, this will actually make you laugh a little bit here when you find out the fact that there is no vaccine mandate to send kids to school. There's no vaccine mandate for polio, for MMR, for smallpox. In fact, we were given opt-out sheets if we were in the group that got opted out for MMR, because MMR is administered to you when you're in the 7th and 8th grade. I think 6th and 7th, actually, if I remember correctly. MMR is administered to you, though, when you're in your late 12s, early teens. Late preteens, early teens, I should say. That's when MMR is administered. So it's not like they can come back and pull the wool over our eyes and say, no, there was a mandate. There was no option to get out of it for you to go to public school when you were a baby, and you can't remember because you were a baby. No, bitch, we all lined up and got the MMR when we were all in middle school. Most of us here went off and did that. Do you know why? Because vaccination's a good idea. It doesn't have to be forced. Parents look at this and say, okay, yes, son, it might hurt a little bit. Yes, my child, let's use the NPC. Yes, my child, it might hurt a little bit, but you'll be better off in the long run because this has been administered for 70 fucking years, and we know what's in there. So just be calm, take the vaccine. There's a lot of research that goes into this. We know this. We've had decades to think about this. Not, okay, this dropped, oddly enough, right after Election Day. Now, everybody go out and take it or you're a fucking cake-hating bigot. And yes, there are a lot of people that have this vaccine. There are a lot of them. I'm starting to see maybe some complications that come out of it, but there are a lot of people that have this thing. And society is moving on just fine. It is about the choice. It is about the choice to do so, to decide what happens with your body and how to do so. And they are trying desperately to come back and take it away. So good on them. From Fox 4 out of Kansas City, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly speaks out against federal COVID-19 vaccine mandate. From Juan Cisneros, a day after the Biden admin announced a federal COVID-19 vaccine mandate for companies that employ more than 100 workers, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has spoken out against it. While I appreciate the intention to keep people safe, a goal I share, I don't believe this directive is correct or the most effective solution for Kansas, Kelly wrote in a statement. Missouri and 10 other states filed a lawsuit against the president Friday, saying that the mandate is unconstitutional. This is a quote from Kelly. States have been leading the fight against COVID-19 from the start of the pandemic. It is too late to impose a federal standard now that we've already developed systems and strategies that are tailored to our specific needs. I will seek a resolution that continues to recognize the uniqueness of our state and builds on our ongoing efforts to combat a once-in-a-century crisis. Biden set a deadline of January 4th, 2022 for all workers in these companies to be vaccinated or be subject to weekly testing and fines. Kelly joins a long list of state leaders rejecting the administration's mandates. And just so you're not coming out and saying that this is a right-wing governor like some right-wing governor like Noam that's speaking out against mandates because she's anti-vax. Laura Kelly is a Democrat. I noticed that Fox 4 conveniently left that out. Laura Kelly is a Democrat. So you guys know. So you're starting to lose Dems in this. Good job. From the USA Today, NASCAR president announces "Let's go Brandon" chant. We're not happy about that. From Michelle R. Martinelli. NASCAR repudiated its association with Let's Go Brandon, the political rallying cry being used on social media and at various sporting events as an insult directed at the president. Originating in NASCAR last month, the phrase Let's Go Brandon quickly became code around the country for fuck Joe Biden, and NASCAR President Steve Phelps isn't thrilled about it, calling it an unfortunate situation during his annual State of the Sports press conference ahead of Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series championship race. Basically, Steve Phelps is looking at this and saying, please, people who wouldn't watch my sport anyway, please watch my sport. Please. At Talladega in early October, driver Brandon Brown won his first second-tier Xfinity Series race. During his on-track interview immediately afterward, the crowd in the grandstands was chanting. Although NBC Sports initially said the fans were chanting Let's Go Brandon, it was explicitly clear they were actually chanting Fuck Joe Biden. Oh, well, the TV broadcast, it was really hard to hear it. It sounded like it could have been Let's Go Brandon. They said, knowing full well that we all watched the same video and knew what they were saying before she said that. NPC Sports, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Thank you to Elaine Mervine, by the way, for following over on Twitch side. You rock. You rock out loud. Also, looks like we had a couple donations stream in too. Thanks, you guys rock out loud too. Thank you, Spartan and Quest. The phrase is seemingly ubiquitous now, and on everything from t-shirts, including one stylized to resemble NASCAR's logo, to face masks to flags, some of which were flown near Phoenix Raceway, which is hosting NASCAR's championship this week. I feel for Brandon, Phelps said. I think, unfortunately, it speaks to the state of where we are as a country. We do not want to associate ourselves with politics, the left or the right. We obviously... Dude, you're NASCAR. The left-wing agenda fucking hates you because you're running carbureted cars that are running on a race fuel that puts out, as far as I know, a large amount of methane. And I believe they're running on leaded fuel still yet, too. You are everything the climate agenda stands against. We obviously have, and we always had, as a sport, a tremendous respect for the office of the presidency, no matter who is sitting. Do we like the fact that it kind of started with NASCAR and then is gaining around elsewhere? No, we're not happy about that. But we will continue to make sure that we have respect for the office of the president. Phelps also said NASCAR will pursue action against any illegal use of its trademarks or merchandise, or boasting the slogan. Retired baseball star Lenny Dykstra posted a photo on Twitter this week of a man eating breakfast at a New Jersey hotel wearing a black Let's Go Brandon shirt alongside NASCAR's trademarked colored bars. We will pursue whoever's using logos and get that stuff, Phelps said. That's not okay. It's not okay that you're using our trademarks illegally. That is, by the way, that is quite a stretch to come out and say that a parody trademark is going to be what's getting you off in trouble. And I don't think you have a standing in court. Now, if the big thing says NASCAR and then Let's Go Brandon underneath it, that's good. That'll be one thing with the actual name on it. That would be something that they could come out to say is defaming. But to use a similar looking logo, and this is just like with the vaccine card, the fake vaccine cards that people talk about. The biggest problem with the fake vaccine card is not the fact that you're faking a government document. The biggest problem is the fact that you are using a trademark government document logo. And that is illegal to use a trademark. But if you change the CDC logo just ever so slightly enough that it's legally distinguishable, you're fine. You can print out however many fucking vaccine cards you want. Not that you should, because everybody should be going out and getting this vaccine because it's perfectly safe and legal and honk, and everybody's going to be fine from it and everything's going to be great from it. And you shouldn't be allowed to have a choice, and don't ban me, Susan. But that's where we're seeing off that. This one was interesting here. Polis signs executive order to help full hospitals. This is from 9 News out of Denver, from Nate Lynn and Kelly Reinke. Governor Jared Polis has signed an executive order allowing the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment to order hospitals and freestanding emergency departments to stop admitting or transfer patients as capacities are threatened amid the pinko fucking pox. It comes as hospitals across the state struggle to treat an influx of patients caused by an increase in COVID-19 cases due to the highly contagious Delta variant and people who have not been vaccinated. On Sunday, hospital capacity across the state was less than 10%. The order applies to hospitals that have reached capacity or are anticipated to reach capacity and is intended to ensure that Coloradans have an adequate health care while protecting hospitals' ability to serve people with the pinko pox and other conditions. It's up to CDPHE to decide whether a facility is at or anticipated to reach capacity according to the order, and to authorize the hospital or emergency department to refuse patients or transfer them to a facility designated by the CDPHE. The order prohibits hospitals from considering a patient's insurance status or ability to pay when making transfer decisions. So that's all well and good. This article is from the 31st, by the way, so this is for a while ago, but it came back out this week because of this fact check that Reuters had to come back and put out on November 6th. Fact check: the governor of Colorado didn't order hospitals to turn away unvaccinated patients. Social media users are sharing claims that the governor of Colorado, Democrat Jared Polis, signed an executive order that allows hospitals to refuse treatment to people who haven't received a vaccine. This is blocked by, of course, something that got in the archive, but there's an order apparently on hospital admissions signed by the governor is unrelated to the vaccination status of patients. The text in one of the tweets reads, "The Dem Governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, signed an executive order for hospitals and ERs to prioritize care to the unvaccinated and turn away the unvaxxed. This cannot be lawful." Another post says, "Just in, Colorado governor mandates that hospitals do not have to treat the unvaccinated." Social media users are also sharing the article by Becker News, which says the executive order's language is clear. It authorizes discrimination against those who are not vaccinated against the pinko fucking pox. Can we actually see the executive order? Okay. So this is a 4-page EO with 3 of them being content. Authorizing the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment to order hospitals, freestanding emergency departments to transfer or cease the admission of patients to respond to the current disaster emergency in Colorado. Background and purpose. On March 5th, 2020, CDPHE's Public Health Laboratory confirmed the first presumptive positive COVID test result in Colorado. I verbally declared a disaster emergency on March 10th, 2020, and on March 11th, I issued corresponding Executive Order D. As amended and extended on March 25th, I requested the President declare a major disaster for the state of Colorado pursuant to the Stafford Act. The President approved the request on March 28th, 2020. On July 8th, I rescinded the Executive Order as amended and extended and issued Executive Order D. Let's see. Let's actually get into the language. Directives. I authorize CDPHE to determine whether a hospital, freestanding emergency department is at or reasonably anticipated to reach capacity. CDPHE is authorized to take the following actions as necessary. Direct the hospital or freestanding emergency department to cease admitting patients and direct any persons thereafter from seeking treatment to another hospital or facility designated by the CDPHE. Direct the transfer of patients from the hospital or freestanding emergency department to another hospital, skilled nursing facility, dormitory, alternative care facility, or other facility designated by the CDPHE. CDPHE may direct the transfer of patients without first obtaining the patient's written or informed consent of such a transfer, and direct a hospital, skilled nursing facility, and other facility to accept patients transferred from a hospital or freestanding emergency department pursuant to the executive order. I'm going to skim through the rest of this here. This is a 30-day from October 31st. And it looks like that, yes, that is correct. There are no provisions in this that have to do with vaccination. Insurance status it does, but not for vaccination. So that fact check is correct, that there is nothing in here that has anything to do with the vaccine status. But I mean, when you look into this, because that's going to come up on your medical record, do you think that there's going to be some rogue person in a hospital that looks at this and says, especially in Colorado, "Oh no, you're unvaccinated"? No. So no, the executive order's language does not authorize discrimination against those who are not vaccinated. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen either. And this is just another thing to say that, oh, well, if we're above capacity, we can't keep people in the hospital, as they're getting ready to come back off and fire more and more people. All right, let's grab one from NPR. Let's talk about this weird thing that happened over the weekend. Starting here, 8 people dead and several injured at Travis Scott's Astroworld Music Festival. This is from Paul Demonedetto, and we're going to read this, but not listen to it. But do remember that they need your donation. They need our money, comrade, to make sure they spread their communist ideals all around the world. NPR, never printing reality, National Progressive Radio. Let's see what they have to say. We have the latest from Houston, where surging crowds led to panic at Astroworld's festival, resulting in at least 8 deaths and several injuries. Soundbite of archived recording. Our hearts are broken. I mean, people go to these events looking for a good time, a chance to unwind and make memories. It's not the kind of event you go to where you expect to find out about fatalities. Harris County Judge Linda Hidalgo, authorities in Houston, say what appears to be a stampede occurred last night when the crowd at NRG Park suddenly rushed forward during a Travis Scott appearance at his Astroworld Festival. Houston Public Media's Paul DeBenedetto joins us now. Paul, thanks so much for being with us. What do we know so far? Well, local officials say the crowd started to surge a little after 9 p.m. during Travis Scott's set, and then rushed towards the stage, caused a panic. People started to pass out and collapse. That caused more of a panic, and now at least 8 people are dead, and more than a dozen are hospitalized, including 11 with cardiac arrest. Were the guards, paramedics, emergency personnel on hand? There were hundreds of police and security on hand. There was a local field hospital on the grounds that treated throughout the day about 300 people. But by the time this happened, Houston police and fire officials say that the rush just kind of came very suddenly. They were very quickly overwhelmed. Any indication, Paul, about what caused the rush? There isn't, and police and fire officials are stressing that they don't have all the information yet. There have been rumors that have been swirling on social media. None have been verified. There is still technically no official cause of death for people who have died, and the medical examiner will make a final determination. Harris County Judge Linda Hidalgo, she's top county official here, said that among those injured were people as young as 10. Our focus right now is to support the families of any victims, to make sure that we support them, and identifying any victims to make sure that we are conducting an investigation, not jumping to any conclusions. There is a reunification center at a nearby hotel. It's called Wyndham Hotel, and police and fire officials are asking anyone who hasn't been in contact with a loved one at the festival to head there. There were about 50,000 people there. It was a 2-day festival. This morning you could see a sort of surge of people. There was a video that was circulating of a surge of people that were breaking down the initial barriers to get in. It's a really popular event this year. Travis Scott took a full wraparound ad on the cover of the Houston Chronicle yesterday. Other bands like Bad Bunny and Earth, Wind & Fire were also scheduled to perform, but obviously the rest of last night was canceled, and tonight's performances are also canceled. So, as of right now, nobody knows. And I've seen a few social media accounts that are relatively pissed off at the fact that nobody's talking about this. And it does seem like this one just kind of fell by the wayside and didn't get a lot of action after people initially reported that it happened. I don't know if there was just somebody came in and said, let's go rush the stage, let's get up there, or if it was something on the fact of somebody tried to create a natural disaster. I don't know, but there's been a lot of chatter on it. From ABC 13, families identify 7 of 8 victims killed in Astro World Festival. We're all devastated. At least 7 of the 8 victims who were killed Friday during the Astro World Festival have been identified. John Hilgert, a 9th grader at Memorial High School, died during the incident, according to a letter from school administrators sent Saturday to parents. Our hearts go out to the student's family and to his friends and our staff at Memorial. MHS principal Lisa Weir wrote, "This is a terrible loss, and the entire MHS family is grieving today." Counselors will be made available to students next week to offer support as they process the loss of their classmate, Weir said. Green ribbons were found wrapped around buildings on Saturday. ABC 13 also learned the name of a 16-year-old killed. A family member confirmed the 16-year-old was Brianna Rodriguez. Her aunt said she was a junior at Heights High School and had a passion for dancing. Hilbert was among the 8 victims at the event who had not been identified by authorities on Saturday, though they did say there was a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, 2 21-year-olds, a pair of 23-year-olds, and a 27-year-old victim. A family member created a GoFundMe page to raise money for Rodriguez's funeral expenses. And they are at capacity right now, but yes, that is out there. Rio General Contractors was a top donation of $6,000 in and of itself. A father identified an unknown victim as 21-year-old son, Edgar Acosta, confirmed to ABC 13 that his son Axel was the unidentified victim that had been recovered from Memorial Hermann Hospital after the incident. Acosta said his son traveled from Washington to see the rapper Travis Scott take the stage at NRG Park. So I'm not going to go through the names of all the victims here, especially considering there are minors in there, but yes, we do have at least identification off of this, and tragic to see the young loss of life for some of these people. From Fox News, Travis Scott, Drake sued over Astroworld incident.
Hospitalizations are at their highest point since
Really?
late 2020, before the vaccine was widely
Shut the
available.
fuck up. Go away. From Tyler McCarthy, Michael Lee, Garrett Tenney. Rappers Travis Scott and Drake have been sued over the incident at the former Astroworld Festival on Friday that left 8 people dead. Fox News can confirm that Texas attorney Thomas J. Henry filed a lawsuit Sunday against Travis Scott, whose real name is Jacques Vermont Webster, as well as Drake, whose real name is Aubrey Drake Graham. The suit also names Live Nation and NRG Stadium. According to a report from the Daily Mail, the suit is being filed on behalf of concert attendee Christian Paredes, 23, from Austin. Paredes reportedly filed the complaint seeking more than $1 million in damages after both rappers allegedly incited the crowd and left him injured. The Astroworld Festival reportedly turned deadly when a crowd surged forward after Drake made an appearance on stage. At a news conference Saturday afternoon, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner confirmed that while the age of one fatality remained unknown, victims were 14, 16, 21, 21, 23, 23, and 27. The causes of the deaths were not immediately known following what has been referred to as a mass casualty incident. In a press release announcing the lawsuit, Henry noted that Drake and Scott continued to perform even as vehicles attempted to break through the crowd to help those who had been injured, and others called for the show to be stopped. Live musical performances are meant to inspire catharsis, not tragedy, said Henry in a press release. Many of these concert goers were looking forward to this event for months, and they deserved a safe environment in which to have fun and enjoy the evening. Instead, their night was one of fear, injury, and death. A separate suit filed Saturday on behalf of a concert attendee, Manuel Souza, and confirmed by Fox News lists Scott as the defendant and accuses owners, operators, and promoters, public relations representatives, and/or organizers of the concert, and/or owner and operators of the premises of conscious disregard of the extreme risk of harm to concert goers that had been escalating since hours earlier. Yeah, and I mean, that's something you need to pay attention to if you're on the stage too. I mean, if people are getting rough and rowdy, you probably should stop. And I've heard of concerts doing so. I haven't really been to a concert where that's been needed. I've been to Garth, and that's really about the big main one that I've been to, where you actually need to stop and do something off of this. But I mean, you don't see this normally. People do, if there is a problem somewhere, come out and say, hey, okay, get them out of here. Let's stop this. Let's all calm down and let's go back to this at another date. Video shows frantic CPR efforts in the midst of deadly Astroworld concert. So let's have a look at this. A little shorty video, of course, but I mean, yeah, you're right there. This just happened, and now people are trying to do resuscitation. So good on the first responders, and good on the people actually getting back up out of the way after it's crowd surge off of that. And then, heck yes, Jessica O'Donnell, who I believe is a Daily Wire contributor. In a world of Travis Scott's BA logic.
Times this shit happens at a concert. This is real. I want you guys to make sure that you feel okay and you're good. Is it another one? Well, let's do the same thing. Somebody pick them up, and everybody right here, look at me. Everybody look at me. And I want you to spread like this. Whoa. Whoa. Don't worry, everything's fine.
I love you, Logic!
Everything's just fine.
I love you!
Yeah, she's gonna come with her. Is it your friend? You're coming. Come on, don't worry about it. Are you guys okay? You having a good time? Yeah! Well, listen, you guys make sure that you're drinking water, stay hydrated. People come here, they wait outside for hours all day. You know what I'm saying? I get it, I feel you, but it's like, let me ask you, everybody in the back, can you see me just fine? Are you having a good time in the back? And what about up top in the back? Can you see me? Are you having a good time? Okay, good. So no matter where you are, from the front and in the middle and on the side, like, it ain't worth waking up in the hospital tomorrow. If you're thirsty, go get something to drink. Do you hear what I'm saying? Now, can we run this back and have some fun?
All right. So there's the Logic speech off of that, which is good. He knew and kept performing. People were literally dying. There's another clip. Travis Scott is known for having insane concert crowds, and every time he sees a fan pass out, he immediately stops the show to get the security to go help. I'm 100% sure Travis thought people were passing out and not dying until the show was over.
Let's play it slowly. We need help on somebody passed out right here. Somebody passed out right here. Hold on, don't touch him, don't touch him. Everybody just back up. Security, somebody help jump in real quick. Keep going, just keep it this way. Somebody jump in, come on, security, get in there, let's get in there, let's get in there, let's get in there, let's get in there.
So yeah, I mean, I guess this has possibly happened out here before, but yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I don't even know who any of these people are, I'm not going to lie. All right, we got a few more here that we got to touch on and hit out of here because my friend Stephen Ignoramus is already streaming here. So let's make sure that we can get this all finished up and go. Throw some music back up and finish out the last few that we have here. New Jersey Democratic leader refuses to concede to GOP truck driver, says thousands of ballots were recently found. from Emma Colton. Democratic New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeney says thousands of recently found ballots support his refusal to concede to a Republican challenger who ran a low-budget campaign. The results from Tuesday's election continue to come in. For existence, there were 12,000 ballots recently found in one county, Hong Kong. Sweeney sent an email to the Philadelphia Inquirer on Thursday. While I'm currently trailing in the race, we want to make sure that every vote is counted. Our voters deserve that, and we will wait for the final results, Hong Kong. Sweeney's office did not immediately respond to Fox News' request for comments on the matter, specifically on identifying which South Jersey county recently found the ballots. Ballot printer go brr. Oh, look, here's just enough to get you up over 1% over your opponent. Honk, honk. Oh, no, we found these in the trunk of a car. I mean, and I've been talking about this since 2008, when this legitimately happened in Milwaukee. During the gubernatorial race, or not 2008, 2018, in the gubernatorial race that took down Scott Walker, when the two ran neck and neck within a percentage point of each other, and I thought we were going into recount territory with Walker ahead by 0.5%, with Walker ahead that night. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, on Wednesday morning, Vicki McKenna was the one who announced it, said, they just found a box of it was still absentee ballots. It wasn't mail-in ballots at the time. Oh, well, they just found a box of 3,000 absentee ballots in a trunk in Milwaukee. Oh, well, it's over. And it turned out to be, yes, enough to bring it up to 1.1% lead. Enough to get it outside of automatic recount territory. So I'm expecting this one to flip. From The Blaze. Hispanic voter gives brutally honest reason for supporting Glenn Youngkin. Biden turned me into a Republican. Just out of curiosity. Yes, we have video off of this. Let's just listen to Jorge Bonilla. A clip from Virginia will become the subject of nightmares via Telemundo News. Let's listen. There it is. I'm like, where's my volume control?
Yo creo que Biden me convirtió en Republicano.
I believe that Biden turned me into a Republican. Biden is destroying the economy. Inflation is through the roof.
Por los cielos,
and everything is terrible.
Es terrible todo.
The sentiment communicated by the brutally honest voter confirms what political experts have been observing for more than a year. Following the 2020 election, in which former President Trump and the Republican Party made significant gains among Hispanic voters continue to question their political alliances and reject many far-left policies. Yeah, it's hard to get a very, 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 very Catholic demographic to throw in behind pro-aborts. I know the Pope is trying, but it is very hard to get a Catholic demographic to throw in behind these people. What else do we have? From Politico. Another setback for Democrats taking on DeSantis. From Gary Fineout. Hello and welcome to Friday. Up around the bend, consider that this is another sign that some Democrats have doubts about being able to knock out DeSantis in 2022. The Democratic Governors Association is not planning on making any major financial contributions to help Democrats try to unseat the Republican incumbent and presidential contender. There are several reasons for this, reports Politico's Matt Dixon, including the need to protect Democrat incumbents in other states, but it adds to the foreboding that now hangs over the race and steepens the uphill battle for candidates Nikki Fried, Charlie Crist, and Annette Taddeo earlier this week. We outlined many of the reasons DeSantis was already viewed as unbeatable, even though the election is a year away. One big problem is it costs a lot to advertise in Florida due to its 10 media markets. I do think, and I can't stress this enough, the DGA is playing mostly on defense this year, and that's a monumental change. Jonathan Ducote, a veteran Democrat consultant who has worked with the DGA, told Matt, "When I think about Florida, statewide elections, the number one thing you have to ask yourself is, do you have the money to communicate in a really expensive state?" The bigger significance, however, is that a Democrat hasn't won the governor's race in nearly 30 years, despite several close elections. Contrast that with a state like Georgia, which now has emerged as a battleground state. Given challenges we have in Florida, donors and other organizations can focus on places where the numbers are better and there is more opportunity. Ashley Walker, a longtime Democrat consultant, told Matt. Yes, it is different now. In Florida, we have a real challenge to restore confidence that we can actually win here. I thought that I had the article that debunked this, but I guess I don't. But this has been widely rebuked and debunked by the DGA as well. They say that they are going to be pouring money into Florida. So all that I see here now is Gary Fineout putting this out here so that he can say, well, if you want to get rid of DeSantis, you better open up your wallets and start pouring money into these people because the DGA is not going to do it. I don't know if they are going to do it or not. Fineout does give very sound reasoning as to why this might be the kind of thing that would happen where they wouldn't do so, but they seem to be ready and willing to throw money into this. So I don't know who is telling the truth off the two of this, whether it's the DGA or whether it's Fineout, but this seems to be more of a money-making ploy than anything else. Let's talk Rittenhouse stuff, which I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know that's going to be the majority of tonight's show on the Red Ned Show. I know that's going to be the vast majority of what we talk about tonight. And I also know that, like, how many times can I come back here and tell you? The defense has made, or the prosecution has made the argument for the defense. How many times can I come out here? So we'll spend just a little bit of time on the Rittenhouse stuff. And then I got just a couple more, then we'll head out of here for the day. From Yahoo News, via Insider, Kenosha police officer explains why he didn't arrest Kyle Rittenhouse when he tried to surrender after the shootings. From Michelle Mark. Kenosha police officer who encountered Kyle Rittenhouse moments after he shot 3 men testified on Friday about why he didn't arrest the teenager who would approach the police convoy with his hands in the air and an AR rifle slung across his body. Officer Pep Moretti testified on the 4th day of Rittenhouse's homicide trial, where the teenager had pleaded not guilty to fatally shooting 2 men and injuring a third. Rittenhouse's defense attorneys have argued that the then 17-year-old shot the men in self-defense after they chased him. Last fall, a viral video showed Rittenhouse walking up to the officers as they yelled at him to get out of the way and drove off in the immediate aftermath of the shootings. Critics of police flaunted the video as proof that white suspects like Rittenhouse can get away with homicide, while black suspects are handled more roughly in less serious situations. But Moretti disputed the narrative on Friday because of course he did. Moretti told the court that there were several reasons he and his partner hadn't suspected that Rittenhouse was the shooter, namely they could still hear active gunfire as Rittenhouse approached. There was still gunfire erupting around us while we were still out on Sheridan, so we thought that this was an active threat, Moretti said. He testified that he and his partner's goal had been to identify the source of the gunfire. As a person walks towards you with his hands up, with a gun slung across his chest, that is... And once again, I do believe that Rittenhouse is not guilty of this, that he did do this in self-defense, that he's not guilty due to reasons of self-defense, but even if you do have to defend yourself at some point, somebody busts into your house, busts through the door that's over there to the next to you, and you pulled out the deagle and you put 2 in his head, you're going to jail after that. And your lawyers will sort that back out. You cooperate with law enforcement, otherwise you wind up shot yourself, especially if you are an active threat. So yeah, it's the first thing you do. As you come out, the first thing you do after you shoot somebody that comes to your home is you call your lawyer. And the second thing you do is you call the police and you explain to the police, yes, somebody busted into my house. He is now deceased. Come in here, do your thorough investigation so you can identify the fact that he busted into the house, and I will be here. The magazine will be out of my gun and there will be no round chambered. In the way that the laws are designed. Now, if the laws were laxer and more property done, this would be a completely different story and I would be making a completely different statement. But the way that we see these laws now the way that they are, if you don't cooperate like this, you will typically get shot. Let the courts handle it. Once you have defended yourself, once you are secure in your own life and limb, let the courts handle it. That's what they're there for. And your lawyer is better at it than you are. Moretti also said the presence of Rittenhouse's AR-15 also hadn't been cause for alarm given the context of the evening. The majority of people Moretti encountered that night were also armed, he said, whether it was with rifles, handguns, bats, or other objects. We were surrounded all night, all week, Moretti said. There was probably more people armed with weapons than not. Moretti also said Rittenhouse hadn't displayed the usual signs of surrender. Moretti said typically people who are surrendering will drop to their knees and follow commands, but Rittenhouse ignored their commands and continued approaching their vehicle, Moretti said. We were giving him instructions to get out of the roadway and essentially get out of our way so that we could get to where we believed the problem would be, Moretti said. The officer also shut down the notion that he and his fellow officer had treated Rittenhouse gently when the teenager disobeyed commands. Moretti testified that when Rittenhouse approached the passenger side window of the patrol vehicle, Moretti drew his gun on Rittenhouse, and Moretti's partner in the passenger seat pepper sprayed Rittenhouse. Now, he didn't know if the spray actually struck Rittenhouse, but it had the desired effect as Rittenhouse abandoned the vehicle and continued walking northbound. So it does look like he did try to surrender, it's just the Kenosha police fucked up. From Insider, witnesses say one of the men Kyle Rittenhouse shot had carried a gun with a bullet in the chamber ready to be fired. From Michelle Mark. Dude, this guy is throwing a mulligan. There is no fucking way this guy is not throwing a mulligan. Once again, just like I theorized on Friday, I'm sure that it sounds to me like this guy didn't want to prosecute this case, but he was forced to under duress, and now he's throwing a mulligan under protest. Because there is no way he's doing this seriously with all the stuff that's come out off of this. Do you have author? Michelle Mark? Yes. A Marine veteran who guarded the Kenosha car dealership alongside Rittenhouse in August 2020 testified Friday that one of the men Rittenhouse shot had been holding a gun with a bullet in the chamber ready to be fired. Jason Lakowski was the sixth witness prosecutors called upon to testify in the trial. Rittenhouse, who is charged with fatally shooting two men and injuring a third, has pleaded not guilty and claimed the shootings were in self-defense because all three men were chasing him. Lakowski, like Rittenhouse, had traveled to Kenosha on August 25, 2020 with an AR and a bag of medical gear. Lakowski said his intent was to protect local businesses amid the civil unrest and racial justice protests that had erupted in downtown Kenosha after the police shooting of Jacob Blake. Lakowski testified that he did not spend much time that evening with Rittenhouse, who had misrepresented himself as a licensed EMT. But Lakowski said he ran into Rittenhouse just after the shootings, and then when the then 17-year-old ran up to him looking frazzled and in shock, Rittenhouse told him he had not shot anyone, Lakowski testified. Lakowski testified he directed Rittenhouse to the police officers down the block and then blacked out briefly. Then he said he came across a man named Gage Grosskreutz who was on the ground screaming and had just been shot in the arm. Lakowski said that he helped apply a tourniquet to Grosskreitz's arm just before police arrived, then spotted the gun Grosskreutz had been holding just minutes earlier. He said he picked up the gun from the ground and dropped the magazine and emptied the chamber. One of the Rittenhouse defense attorneys, Corey Shirafisi, asked whether Lakowski found a bullet in the chamber. Lakowski said that he did. In your training and experience, was that gun ready to be fired? Shirafisi said. Yes, Lakowski replied. Grosskreutz can be seen in videos and photos from the evening wielding a small black handgun while approaching Rittenhouse, who was on the ground. Just before Rittenhouse opened fire, prosecutors said Grosskreutz is expected to testify on November 8th. Yeah, you can actually, I can't blow the picture up because it's archived, but you can kind of see the outline of the gun in his hand. Lakowski also testified Friday that the first man Rittenhouse shot, Rosenbaum, who later died. Lakowski said he'd seen Rosenbaum earlier that evening behaving belligerently and like a babbling idiot. He had asked very bluntly to shoot him, Lukowski said. He did a few what I would call false stepping, making a step to entice someone to do something. After he had done that a few times, I turned my back and ignored him. Two previous witnesses called by the prosecution both emphasized that Rosenbaum appeared to pose a threat to Rittenhouse. Their testimony could boost Rittenhouse's self-defense claim, as the teenager's attorneys have argued that Rittenhouse feared for his life that night and had good reason to think Rosenbaum could take his rifle and use it against him. So we will see where this goes and what happens with this, but I have not seen any evidence yet, and I've watched 3 days of testimony thus far. I did not watch Friday's testimony, unfortunately, because I had other things that I had to take care of this weekend. But I have watched 3 days of testimony off of this, and I have yet to see any compelling evidence that this is a kid who went out there with the intent of killing somebody. Defending himself, yes, but killing somebody, no. And I think that a lot of the leftoids out there believe that he was out there to defend himself too, but that this would be a clear case of self-defense, because the goalposts have shifted in this. I mean, there are still some people that are out there that say that Gage and Rosenbaum and Huber were all on their knees with their hands behind their head and shot execution style. There are still people out there that unironically believe that. But I have noticed that a lot of the goalposts have shifted now to, well, you have no right to defend yourself if you're committing a misdemeanor in the process of defending yourself. The weapons charge. You've waived your right to self-defense if you're committing a misdemeanor to do so. The underage carrying a gun charge. There has been a lot of shift into that. Alright, almost there. Last one. Witness, Kenosha victim was belligerent but no threat. From the Dissociated Press's Scott Bauer, Michael Tarm, and Amy Forliti. The first man shot and killed by Rittenhouse on the streets of Kenosha was acting belligerently that night but did not appear to pose a serious threat to anyone. A witness testified Friday at Rittenhouse's murder trial. Jason Lukowski, a former Marine who said he took the AR-15 semi-automatic rifle to Kenosha last year to help protect property during violent protests against racial injustice, said that Rosenbaum was asked very bluntly to shoot him and took a few false steppings to entice someone to do something. Lukowski got up from the witness stand and demonstrated what he meant by false stepping. He took a small step and slight lurch forward, then stopped. But Lukowski, who was called as a witness by the persecution, said he considered Rosenbaum a babbling idiot and turned his back and ignored him. He admitted he didn't see everything that went on between Rittenhouse and Rosenbaum, including their final clash. In other testimony, the persecution suffered a potential blow when Rosenbaum's fiancée, Carrie-Ann Swart, disclosed that he was on medication for bipolar disorder and depression but didn't fill his prescriptions because the local pharmacy was boarded up as a result of the unrest, information that Rittenhouse's lawyers could use in their bid to portray Rosenbaum as the aggressor that night. Yes, and I mean, this is the perfect storm for self-defense off of here, and really to come out and say that yes, there was an update. Rosenbaum had just got out of the hospital on a 24-hour suicide hold. He went to Swart's home, got kicked out of Swart's home, from what I understand was because he beat the crap out of her. I haven't seen the police report for that, but he was on a restraining order from her home, and she said that he couldn't be there. And he went downtown and he started begging people to shoot him. He was trying, from everything that I can see, he was trying to commit suicide by counter-protester. And then, on top of that, we see the FBI video of him hiding between cars as Rittenhouse ran, and jumping out in a pincer motion between him and Zeminski. And then chasing down Rittenhouse, throwing the bag at him, grabbing the gun, shot rings out behind him. Bam, 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 and Rosenbaum is dead. But by every avenue and aspect of everything that I have seen so far, looks like Rosenbaum was out there specifically looking to be killed. Because he didn't, at the time, have the means to do it himself. He wanted to go out and be a martyr for the cause and show how evil those right-wingers are. That is everything that I have seen from. If I was a juror on this trial, that is exactly what I would come to with the jury pool. Is this guy was trying to try and get himself killed, either to just end his life and the pain, or to be a martyr for the cause. And this is, by the way, I'm coming to this from a somewhat expert position. I have been suicidal before. I think everybody knows. I'm not shocking anybody when I say that. I have dealt with this before. I have been in that mindset before. I know what this is like. I know some of the things that might have been going through Rosenbaum's mind at the time, as his life was collapsing around him, especially in the city of Kenosha. And yes, as I said at the top of the show, or at the top of this trial, during the opening statements, when the judge argued with the defense to say that it might be inadmissible that Rosenbaum was in the suicide hospital just a few hours before. No, that is absolutely admissible because that changes the entire trajectory of the defense and the entire trajectory of intent if he had just been on suicide watch. That changes everything. All right, let's grab these last few and let's head out of here. A little bit of a fact check for something that dropped into my Discord over the weekend. Thank you, MK Ultra, for this. But unfortunately, this one was not true. From Forbes, no, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla was not arrested. Here's how this conspiracy theory emerged. From Bruce Y. Lee. Do you get your news from Beaver, the conservative Beaver website, that is? Well, the Canada-based website included a Beaver exclusive claiming that Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla had been arrested on November 5th by the FBI for fraud. The Beaver exclusive also claimed that the judge ordered a media blackout of the event and that a judge had approved such an order. Damn, those are some major yet unsupported claims from the Beaver exclusive. Unsupported, as there's no evidence that the arrest or fraud claims are true in any way. The Beaver exclusive wasn't even very specific about their fraud claims, stating that Bourla faced fraud charges for his role in deceiving customers on the effectiveness of the Pox vaccine. Pfizer is accused of falsifying data and not paying out large bribes. Notice how the Beaver exclusive put the words vaccine in quotes. As I've covered previously for Forbes, people on social media accounts against COVID-19 vaccines have been claiming that the vaccines are not really vaccines, even though they fulfill the criteria of vaccines. They don't. Although the exclusive did not really identify who wrote the piece unless the person's first name was Beaver and the last name was exclusive. So yes, no, unfortunately, Bourla is not behind bars, in spite of the fact that he's part of a major money laundering scheme for the federal government for them to go back and turn around and put donations back into the Democrat Party, follow the money. No, he has not been arrested. All right. Couple more. This one I just found funny. From The Hill. More Democrats watch Fox News during primetime than CNN. Data. From Lexi Lonis. More Democrats are watching Fox News during primetime than CNN, according to a data from Peter Nielsen MRI Fusion. The data shows Fox News is watched by 29% of liberal primetime viewers, compared to CNN, which garners 25% of those viewers. Only MSDNC, which is watched by 46% of liberal viewers during prime time, has a larger liberal audience at that time than Fox News. Well, yes, because 46% of the viewers, which, by the way, that doesn't math. Never mind. I carried the one wrong. I'm sorry. I carried the one wrong. That was my bad. That does math. But yes, of course, 46% of the liberal viewers have to come back out and they have to tell you that, well, they have to go to MSNBC to be told what to think and what to use when they go on social media afterwards. During the day, CNN has a larger liberal audience than Fox News, barely, with 29% of Democrats tuning into CNN and 28% to Fox News. Fox News is known for its popularity among Republicans, with the majority of conservatives picking Fox News for both day and primetime coverage. Fox also beats both CNN and MSDNC for the largest number of moving back up to the top. No, that's The Hill. That's The Hill and IBD. That's the large number of moving back up to the top mid-article. Fox News also beats both CNN and MSNBC for the large number of independents watching the network during both the day and prime time. So in a news monetization, as you mentioned, our shares of audience is, 55% of cable news viewers, which is incredibly impressive. It's a lot of hard work to build that share and maintain it, Fox Corp CEO Lachlan Murdoch said during an earnings call on Wednesday. And yes, there are a number of people out there. I mean, that's their job, to go back here and sit down on Fox News with their hands clenched and their whole bodies clenched up and said, they're going to say something racist. It's going to be racist. They're going to say something racist. I'm going to report on it. I'm going to go to social media. I'm going to be the first one to talk about it on social media. Oh my god. 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 It's going to be so racist. It's going to be so racist. It's Fox News. It's so racist. Oh my god. 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 And then go tweet whatever Fox News said back at Brian Stelter. So that's what we see coming out of that. And the last one for the day comes to us from the Daily Wire. I am impressed that as packed as this news day is, this is the first time we're reading from the Daily Wire. One Daily Wire and one Blaze. In spite of the fact that I use them as my aggregators, I use other sources for the primary content. But one here from the Daily Wire for us, Ocasio-Cortez. It's dangerous, puppy, to think that the Democrat Party has a woke problem. From Ryan Saavedra. No video, of course, because it's all tweets, but let's see what we have to say here. Far left Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D-Twitch, whom the former chairman of the Democrat Party said was the future of the party, is slamming critics who are warning that the Democrat Party has a woke problem, saying that it's dangerous to think that way. Cortez's comments come after the top Democrat strategist, James Carville, warned last week that following Republicans blowing out Democrats in races across the country, the party has a wokeness problem. What went wrong is the stupid wokeness, Carville said. Don't just look at Virginia and New Jersey, look at Long Island, look at Buffalo, look at Minneapolis, even look at Seattle. I mean, this defund the police lunacy, this take Abraham Lincoln's name off schools, that people see that. It's just really have a suppressive effect across all the country to Democrats. Some of these people need to go to a woke detox center or something. They're expressing language that people just don't use, and there's a backlash and a frustration at that, he continued. And we all have got to change this and not be about changing dictionaries and change laws. And these faculty lounge people that sit around mulling about I don't know what are, they're not working. Look at what happened in Buffalo. Again, Seattle, I think the Republicans may have won a city's attorney's race in Seattle, the autonomous zone. Who could even think something that stupid? And they're suppressing our vote, he concluded. And I've got news for you. You're hurting the party. You're hurting the very people that you want to help. Ocasio-Cortez originally responded to Carville's remarks on Friday by saying that wokeness was a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. Like the average audience for people seriously using the word woke in a 2021 political discussion are James Carville and Fox News pundits. So that should tell you all you need to know, puppy, she claimed. And before people disingenuously complain woke is denigrating to older people, it's actually pundits like Carville using terms just like woke to insult voters under 45. That's downgrading. Ocasio-Cortez continued her rant about wokeness on Sunday, claiming that it was dangerous for people to think Democrats have a wokeness problem. One dangerous aspect of thinking there's a woke problem is that Dem chances for re-election or majorities in House, Senate, and White House rely on the racial justice issue of voting rights, puppy. Dems distancing themselves from racial justice makes protection of voting rights less likely, assuring losses, she claimed, without evidence. Woke is a term pundits are now using as a derogatory euphemism for civil rights and justice, puppy. Making a woke problem results in putting civil and voting rights on the back burner. In a year, state legislatures are planning out GOP majorities and voter suppression. That's dangerous, puppy. She concluded, people think Fox News is about indoctrinating right-wingers, but it's about conditioning Dems on what to run away from. Framing racial justice as controversial is key to delaying the protection of voting rights and others, puppy. Until it's too late, we shouldn't indulge it. No, she doesn't really say poppy. But that is me making fun of politicians, as I do Equal opportunity to both sides of the aisle. She doesn't even have a Hispanic accent. She does sound like she comes from the Bronx, but because she's put such an emphasis on her Puerto Rican heritage, it's fair game. Plus, it's really funny, and it makes me laugh. All right, let's get out of here. But before we do that, the last thing we do on a Monday is one of the Ferengi rules of acquisition, and we are powering through this. We are powering through this list in a hurry. Okay, maybe we're not powering through it as quickly as possible. We will be at this for still quite a while. But we are on the 33rd rule of acquisition. This comes from Rules of Acquisition, the DS9 novel. It never hurts to suck up to the boss. Now, of course, Ferengi, as most people who follow the Star Trek lore, they know this, that Ferengi are hyper-capitalists. They will put anything, almost, out there in order to get themselves in a position where they can make profit. Well, I'm not quite that capitalistic yet, but I'm close. I won't throw absolutely anything under the bus to go make profit, but I will throw quite a bit of things under the bus to make profit, including sometimes their pride. I'm not to that point myself. But yes, the Ferengi will throw their pride under the bus in order to make more profit. And that's what we see coming up here, where it never hurts to suck up to the boss. Now, if you are in a corporate structure of some sort, whether it be just your little small business that you work for, or whether it be some nationwide conglomerate, it does never help to come out and throw a little bit of a yes sir, no sir in there that will help you get ahead a little bit further. I mean, don't go as far as the Ferengi go and wound your pride to go back and do so, but do make sure that you understand where the chain of respect is. And I mean, if you can get away with throwing an insult at your boss because you're in that kind of a structure, I mean, go ahead and do that, because if you're too kind, then they might think something's up off of this. But do keep in mind that this person usually, under most circumstances, has the ability to get rid of you as well, especially if you're not union. And if you're out on the streets and you don't have a job, you're not making any profit whatsoever. So there's a balance between no respect for authority and what the Ferengi are suggesting to do in the 33rd rule of acquisition. And I would err to the side of the Ferengi side, but not so far that you're wounding your pride to do so, because you do still have to have pride in your work and your ability to do so. There's a balance. There is a balance off there. Sometimes it never does hurt either. And sometimes it does. And that is it. We're going to head out of here for the day and go over and watch the Daily Ignoramus. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's switch up to closing our scene. Let's get some music up here. Let's change the track. And I think it's time for us to go. So, we're going to head out of here for the day. Guys, make sure you come back and check out the show tonight at 5:30 Central Time, when the wonderful Quest Fanning will come in and join us and talk about policy, discussion, the infrastructure bill, the Rittenhouse case, the elections this week. This has been a busy week, but we will stick it to 2 hours as well. So do make sure you guys come back here and check that out. That's going to be a really, really good, fun time. Quest is a great insight of knowledge, and it sounds to me, from what I've heard, he's updated some of his streaming setup as well, so we'll get an introduction to that on top of it as well. Otherwise, come back here and join us here tomorrow morning for more Contemporary. We will be back here to talk about more headlines and more stupid stuff the government is doing, and probably more Rittenhouse stuff, because that's continuing on this week, and we will do more of that. So we will see you next time for that, and until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.